Pre-algebra is the beginning of algebra. There's going to be more and more and more algebra stuff happening as the book continues. And you may already know some stuff, you may not know some stuff. I'm going to go on the assumption that you guys don't know everything you're supposed to know as well as you're supposed to know. So I'm going to overteach instead of underteach if that's a possibility. So when it comes down to what I talk about, I'm going to be very, very, very big on what the rules of algebra are as we use them. And anytime I use those rules, I'm going to say what I'm doing against the rules of algebra, because arithmetic is what it always has been. 2 plus 3 always equals 5. 2 times 3 always equals 6. 3 minus 2 always equals 1. 8 divided by 2 always equals 4. Every arithmetic fact you've ever learned is still true. When you start throwing signs on these numbers, then we have to come up with rules for how to deal with those signs, but we're going to still stay within the confines of arithmetic when we evaluate things. So when I look at this problem, 45 plus negative 16, what I want to do first off is I don't want to have plus, negative, or anything like that. I just want to have just numbers. So 45, if I look after the 45, everything happening after 45 all the way to the 16 is the next operation. It's either plus or minus, and the number of minuses tells you what it is. So if the number of minuses is odd, we have odd minuses, that means minus. If we have even minuses, that means plus. So if you look at this sequence here, plus, minus 16, there's one minus, which is odd, right? The number 1 is odd. I'm not talking about this number, I'm talking about how many of these there are. There's one minus, 1 is an odd number, so it's going to be minus 16. Okay. In the world of algebra, plus does not always mean add, and minus does not always mean subtract. Okay, and that's the most confusing part of algebra for beginners in algebra is plus doesn't always mean add, minus doesn't always mean subtract. So when you make the decision, should I add or subtract, what I want you to do is look at each individual number in the pair of numbers. So I got a positive number 45, and I have a negative number 16. Okay, when I make a decision, should I add or subtract, that's what I'm looking at. So if I'm looking at two numbers at a time, only two numbers at a time, if the same sign occurs, same sign, I'm going to add. If they're different signs, I'm going to subtract. Okay, so that's priority 1. Okay, priority 2 is the sign of the answer matches the biggest number. So again, get out of your brain that a plus sign means to add, a minus sign means to subtract. Get into your brain, are the signs the same or are the signs different? That establishes what you do. All right? So notice 45 is positive 45, 16 is negative 16. Okay, so a minus sign is going to act like a negative. So this is a positive and negative. We have different signs, tells me to subtract the numbers. Okay, when I subtract, subtraction is what it always has been, big minus small. 45 minus 16 makes 29. Okay, then the sign of the answer should match the bigger number. So which number is bigger, 45 or 16?
45.
And 45 is positive, so 29 is positive. Okay, so that's the correct answer to that problem. As you're adding up or subtracting two numbers at a time, that's the thought process that needs to go inside your brain. Are the signs the same or different? Same, add, different, subtract. Should the answer be positive or negative? The bigger number is the sign of the answer. So let me throw a couple more at you real quick that you can put in the same box here. Suppose I have negative 9 minus 12. Suppose I have negative 3 plus 11. And suppose I have 14 plus 19. All right? So this is first positive, second negative. This is both negative, first negative, second positive, and both positive. That's all the possibilities that could happen when two numbers are being added. Okay? For these two numbers, are the signs the same or different? Same, so I'm going to add. Which one's bigger? 12, so it's negative. Again, every addition or subtraction, that's the two choices you have to make. Should I add or subtract? What's the sign of the answer? These signs are different, so I'm going to Subtract 11 minus 3 makes 8. Which number's bigger? 11, so it's positive 8. These signs are the same, so I add. Which number's bigger? So it's positive 33. Every single time you're dealing with two numbers at a time, should I add or subtract? What should the sign be? Add when the signs are the same, subtract when the signs are different. The bigger number is always the same as the answer. Every single time you add or subtract in algebra.